let's not beat around the bush here. I've been putting this video off for 5 months at this point. The reasons for which ultimately boil down to laziness, loss of interest, and ongoing personal issues. At one point, I even went as far as to say that I just wasn't gonna make a video on SCP First Contact. But I promised you guys that this video was going to happen, and it's about goddamn time that I get off my ass and actually do something in regards to making this video. I just want to say I'm sorry, and I will not put something like this off again. That being said, let's fucking do this. SCP First Contact was Evan Royalty's first SCP short film, and while it's pretty basic, it's still a fun time, so let's get started. The film opens with a mission briefing informing us that a Foundation operative, going by Eugene Smith, has discovered a possibly anomalous site in the form of a mine in the Yukon Territory of Canada. However, the Foundation doesn't fully trust Smith, so they assemble a detachment of Mobile Task Force Omega Orange to recon the mine. MTF Omega Orange is an original Mobile Task Force created for the film, and from what I gather, it's composed mainly of ex-convicts. Our primary squad consists of 5 members: Kruger, Graham, Quinn, McMahon, and Ross. Ross, I don't think, is actually a member of Omega Orange. Based on his dialogue throughout the film, he seems to be the squad's Foundation handler or something along those lines. We follow the squad as they traverse the Yukon Territory and eventually discover the mine. Upon entering, they discover a large facility within the mine. It seems to be some kind of geological research site, supposedly established by the Canadian government once they themselves discovered the mine. Before investigating the facility, the team moves to the basement to turn on the facility's generator. As they do, the facility springs to life, in more ways than one. The team continues with their recon. While investigating the facility, the team finds the corpse of one of the lead researchers in an isolated containment room. Kruger tells Graham to take the corpse and try to determine a cause of death. Meanwhile, McMahon is going through audio and video files left behind on the computer in a researcher's office. He informs the team that it's going to take a while as there are many files, so they continue on with their reconnaissance of the site. Later, Kruger and Quinn discover a large body of subterranean water. They take a couple of the facility's diving suits to investigate further. Once they submerge, they lose contact with the rest of the team. Meanwhile, McMahon finds an audio file from a researcher describing an attack on one of his colleagues. Apparently, he was incapacitated by something latching onto his leg after attempting to take a test sample from the underwater area. McMahon tries to warn Kruger and Quinn, but their communication is still cut off. Meanwhile, Kruger and Quinn decide to take a sample from the underwater area, unfortunately, and rather coincidentally, now that you think about it. As they take the sample, they hear a low hum throughout the area, akin to that of a creature growling. They immediately decide to get the fuck out of there and start booking it to the exit. Unfortunately, Quinn is attacked and seemingly incapacitated, but Kruger is able to haul him back to the diving area. We cut to a little later as Quinn has been taken to the infirmary where Graham has stabilized him. Graham checks on Kruger and basically tells him to keep his shit together. The team meets in the bathroom to discuss their next move. Why they didn't have this meeting in the same room as Quinn, given that he would need to know this information too, I don't know. It's here that we learn that the man found in the facility earlier had actually killed himself by ingesting cyanide, not wanting to die at the hands of whatever the fuck is going on here. Graham decides to leave the meeting to go check up on Quinn. Now, we cut back to Quinn's feed for a short time to see that there is some definitely next level fuck shit going on here. As Graham gets back to Quinn's room, he sees a creature carrying Quinn off into the hallways of the facility. He gives chase and ultimately catches up with it, popping a couple rounds off to get the little fucker to scram. The rest of the team shows up and goes after the creature while Graham tries to help Quinn. who sadly is beyond saving at this point as he dies in Graham's arms. After this, the team takes Quinn's body and holds up in an office. Here, Graham, a lot like Fletcher from SCP Dollhouse, pretty much tells us what the SCP is. Graham theorizes that the mine itself, that of which the facility is constructed inside of, is a living organism, and the creature that attacked Quinn was some kind of antibody released by the mine. Think of it as a body releasing white blood cells to purge a virus or infection. Graham also points out that it's very likely that more creatures will be coming for them. He also theorizes that turning the generator back on might have awakened the organism, as they obviously were not attacked when they came into the mine at the start of the film. McMahon and Kruger decide to attempt to shut down the generator, whereas Graham and Ross make their way to the surface. Before they depart, Ross promises Kruger that if they make it out, he'll be sure to tell the Foundation of their heroics. Honestly, it's a nice little character moment within a fairly run-of-the-mill SCP narrative. Graham and Ross make it out of the mine while McMahon and Kruger are able to successfully cut off the power. However, this does not render the organisms within the facility inert, as the weird antibody creatures are still roaming the halls. Unfortunately, on their way out of the facility, Kruger is swarmed by a herd of creatures. He tells McMahon to go as he sets off a grenade, killing himself and the creatures. Rip the homie. McMahon eventually gets back to the surface to meet Graham and Ross. When he gets there, he sees that a detachment of Beta-7 has been deployed to the mine. For those who are wondering, MTF Beta-7 is essentially a glorified cleanup crew. The Beta-7 team leader asks McMahon if they have any more valuable information as the film ends. Okay, so like I said before, SCP First Contact is pretty cut and dry. The anomaly resembles a cave or mine, but in reality is a living organism, capable of fighting off what it sees as infections, quote-unquote, through releasing strange creatures to kill its supposed aggressors. To be clear, the team turning the generator back on is not what triggered the entity to awaken, so to speak. It was when Quinn and Kruger took that sample from the underwater area that pissed it off. If you listen closely to the audio files that McMahon is listening to in the office, pretty much the exact same thing happened to one of the Canadian researchers stationed in the facility. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I personally actually did enjoy it after taking about a 5-month break from doing things like this. And I'll do my best to keep up with more SCP short films in the future, as Evan Royalty has even said himself that they have one more gargantuan SCP project coming for us. So I'm very excited to take a look at that when it finally drops, probably within another year or so. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Have a great day.